Hey everybody, and welcome to the 29th episode of Growing Up Geek, the weekly podcast for geek entertainment and nostalgia. My name is Brad, and I'm joined as always by my brother Rob.
Still alive.
Still alive, and this will be the angriest episode of Growing Up Geek ever. We have been abandoned by Matt. He stood us up.
Yeah. So, you can think of this as like a concert where everybody but the headliner shows up.
Exactly. We're going to channel our anger. Last episode was dominated by fear over where you were, Rob, because we lost you. I think this one will be dominated by anger, and then we'll ride that emotional roller coaster.
To hate, and then suffering, and the dark side of the Force.
Exactly. I guess you can update the audience. Where were you last week? Are you okay? Were you in fact struck by lightning?
Just had troubles out there with the internet connection.
So it wasn't in fact weather related. It was just tech related.
Yeah. So I am fine. I wasn't happening and
good. So we are here. We're recording in Matt's absence.
We're here.
And so your favorite geek news story this week, Rob, is?
Well, this is something that I'm sure has a lot of Wii users kind of ticked, but me as a 360 user sort of happy. A rumor has surfaced that Microsoft is planning to have Wii-like avatars for a new update, probably their fall update. This might replace the gamer card system. Remember my rant a while back about what I hated about Home was how I was trying to look all realistic and stuff? Apparently Microsoft heard that rant, and because of me... These characters are going to be slightly more on the cartoony side, although not as simplistic as the Wii Mii's.
Okay, so this is a rumor with pictures?
Yes, most people are considering this like an official leak. The characters apparently are being designed by Rare.
Okay.
So this whole kind of software is being headed up by some pretty good people over there at Rare.
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed a lot of these ads on the 360 Live that say family-oriented game of the week or whatever. They're definitely trying to compete with that family market now. And this feels to me like a little bit like stealing. I'm sure people are going to cry foul all over the place for this.
Yeah, the characters have already been dubbed Mii-Toos.
Yeah. Oh, it was low-hanging fruit.
Like, me too.
But, I mean, I agree with that because it is. They could try to improve upon it, and they probably will.
I mean, let's not forget, Microsoft got this whole ball rolling with Xbox Live. Yeah. That's where kind of the whole idea of having like a static identity that you took from game to game came from, and a lot of people were thinking like this is the reason why there hasn't been a spring update for the Xbox 360.
Yeah,
they must be working on something big.
All right, we'll have to see what develops in that area.
So that's my news story. And Brad, what was your favorite pick in the news this week?
This may not be this week. I think it's a little outdated actually, but it was the most exciting thing I read this week, just because the controversy it generated. And again, this is going to be our surliest episode possibly, so excuse it if we sound like just bitter old men. But have you heard of Limbo of the Lost? This game, Limbo of the Lost?
No.
Okay, if you search for this game, there's message board threads that are just going on and on and on about this, and with good reason, because Limbo of the Lost has flat out ripped off of about 12 different games.
It's a PC adventure game?
Yeah, exactly. And the first screenshot, the notorious one that has Bethesda interested, is it stole directly a building layout from Oblivion. And then that was posted online, and Bethesda's lawyers got involved and things. And then several other screenshots were shown that were basically, again, like if you compare it next to Oblivion, it is the level. It is the bar, or it is the castle. I mean, it's not a likeness of, it is that, and people started to sort of chime in with their own findings in Limbo of the Lost, which I guess, I don't know how many people actually own this game out there, but whoever had it on these message boards was just adding on and on more things like Unreal textures or sections from Painkiller. Like all these PC games, the parts were basically just co-opted for this game, so I enjoyed following that thread. I encourage people to go check this out. Limbo of the Lost, apparently it is a Frankenstein of other PC games.
Wow.
Someone had the guts to do it, and I'm sure they will pay for it. The sad thing is, when you think about Bethesda suing this company, this little company, I'm sure, has no money. And so I don't know what they hope to do.
Just look what they're resorting to.
Yeah, it's like, come on, when a guy does that, you just almost got to just go, aww.
I'm almost imagining what's going on here is that these guys are probably building this out of Oblivion, like in the same way, like it's a mod, probably.
Yeah, it's got so many different games ripped into it. In fact, the humorous thing was that there's cinema sequences that actually cop scenes out of Pirates of the Caribbean.
What?
For their cinema scenes, they actually steal clips of movies. So it almost would seem like the world's most genius game, maybe, that's combines all the greatest games into one. It's either the greatest thing ever or the worst thing ever.
That's Limbo.
Yeah, exactly. A proper name. So people can check that out. Limbo of the Lost is available now, I guess, or not for long, I would imagine.
It's coming out in July.
Oh, it's not even out yet?
No.
Okay, what I had seen, supposedly the trailer is hysterical. I haven't watched it. I'll have to put a link on our site about it. And speaking of legal battles, you like that segue there?
That's a nice segue.
Our topic of discussion this week was going to be, and still is going to be, Jack Thompson. The person that everyone loves to hate, the lawyer who constantly gets involved in video game-related matters, who has somewhat, how shall we say, creative methods of going about attacking the problems that he sees in society. Matt was supposed to guide the discussion. He's not here, so we're just going to basically go off the cuff with our thoughts, and I'll let you begin.
Jack Thompson has had something like 32 different allegations of poor legal mishandlings.
Right.
I'm not quite sure what the word is.
Just inappropriate use of the law, maybe?
Yeah. Outright lying in the court, sort of like the crazy antics. Now it's gone serious. They've taken 32 of those accusations and found about 24 of them, I forget the exact number, to be
worthy of disbarment, I think.
I believe he's been disbarred.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's the recent news, which has sort of been a long time coming.
I think when he started out, he was kind of just, more or less a moral crusader in the courtroom, kind of going about things
Sure.
okay.
Sure.
But you can see, his craziness sort of was slowly building and building in a crescendo, and now he's just at a point where he's dug himself so deep in the trenches of video games. They're evil. They are murder simulators, as he calls them.
Yeah, he's represented the families of murdered children a lot of times, and I find that interesting that he's come back to this idea on a lot of occasions. It seems to be one of his main sort of thrusts, is that video games train to kill.
Right.
He's actually used these terms like how to kill,
Murder
simulators. Yeah, things that I haven't heard since, back in the Mortal Kombat, when it first hit the news.
The first time I ever heard that term was after Columbine,
Well, sure, and I will say, in his defense, that these are issues that a lot of people are concerned about. Violence in society, teenage killings. I don't want to say that, these things don't concern us or that they don't concern people, but his methods, I think, lack a certain carefulness, if you might. Do you think that a video game can train a kid to kill?
Yes and no. If a soldier is told to kill another person, they hesitate and their heart races. And the Army has experimented with using video games to further kind of desensitize the soldiers. Right. So he definitely has a point there.
Yeah.
But
he goes past that to say that they actually teach how to kill.
Right.
What do you think about that? It's like when you see Grand Theft Auto, just take his most famous example. Nico kills people with a gun or a car.
There's no auto aim in real life. There's kickback on a weapon. I don't think it's ever gotten to the point where people have had video games talking to them, telling them what to do. But you have crazy stuff. Charles Manson took the song Helter Skelter and said that John Lennon was telling him to kill people through it, even though Helter Skelter was written by Paul McCartney.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah. I'm glad you pointed that out, music major.
Yeah.
But that's a good point too, I think, because Helter Skelter is a very popular song by a very, very, very popular band that millions of people probably listened to, and yet he went and did that. Now, a lawyer could have said, and therefore, look what it did. It trained him to kill. But on the same token, these games, it's interesting that the games that he's gone against are major sellers. He's not choosing. In fact, there's some very jacked up games that don't sell very well.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
He doesn't go after those.
Blood?
He goes after the ones like
Catfight.
Yeah, exactly. Postal. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting. You talk about like the hot coffee mod in Grand Theft Auto. Like,
right.
Oh no, if somebody spends the time and hard work to actually hack Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, they might get what amounts to Barbie dolls humping each other. Oh no. In the meantime, Leisure Suit Larry Magnum Cum Laude is on the shelves.
It's on the shelves.
He's not targeting that at all, even though that game has full frontal nudity in it and has the same M rating.
Yeah, and it's interesting.
He's going after a white whale. He wants to get the most money for his settlements.
Like, his methods just are very extreme. He sent a letter to Bill Gates saying, I hope you're happy that your company has potentially, caused the death of the Virginia Tech students, and it was because he thought that they made Counter-Strike, which he thought that the killer at Virginia Tech played. It turns out he's wrong on both counts because they only published the Xbox version, and the killer, actually, it was shown that he only played games like Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, my favorite was probably with him being so mad at Grand Theft Auto. They said, actually, since the release of Grand Theft Auto, the actual crime, Grand Theft Auto, has gone down.
People simulate it instead of doing it.
Exactly. They're like, I realized while I was driving through New York and I saw all these ads for Grand Theft Auto 4. I was wondering, well, do these people really want to play this game? It's not as exotic to be like...
Oh, yeah, because it's basically virtual New York.
Yeah, it's like, well, I could go to there in real life if I wanted to. But what I realized was what Grand Theft Auto gives them is the ability to act out sort of things they've always wanted to do.
Instead of actually doing it. And again, when you have one killer that played this game, but millions who played it did not, then it's not the game. It's something else, which is a whole other discussion. But, I mean... It's the same song that everyone listened to. It's the same game that everyone played. In some cases, it's the same movie. Like, Basketball Diaries always gets a bad rap, or The Matrix gets a bad rap. The Columbine killers probably were inspired by the clothing worn in The Matrix, trench coats and stuff. But everybody saw The Matrix, so it's kind of difficult to pin it on The Matrix.
How about when playing Katamari Damacy, I get the urge to roll people up into a giant Katamari and... roll them down the hill.
But you resist that urge.
I resist that urge. Even Oblivion, I would be walking around, and every time I would see flowers or growing weeds, I'd want to start grinding them into potions and stuff like that. And I would reach for them and then go, wait, I don't know how to make potions, and then continue on my way to class.
Yeah, that's actually how you sort of sold me the game. You were like, oh, Oblivion is awesome. I walk around and I see plants in real life, and I'm like, I have to harvest this leaf root or whatever. And I was thinking, that doesn't sound great. I don't know. That was sort of your sales pitch.
Everybody kind of gets to that point, but there's something where you can distinguish fantasy from reality. And also I think that the video game industry is doing a good enough job of policing itself that it's not. There's no need to have
an extra special law.
Exactly. I remember. You can look this up. Fox News covering Mass Effect.
Oh lordy!
And they literally said sex box, as opposed to Xbox, and they had on the bottom for like the whole entire thing. It says video game shows full frontal nudity, interactive sex scene. All right. Both were lies. There's no full frontal nudity in that game.
Well, they weren't intentionally deceiving. They were just...
Ignorant.
Yeah. But literally.
There wasn't full frontal nudity, and the sex scene in it is not at all interactive,
Yeah.
You know what, parents... The rating is right on the front of the box.
I like that we're both speaking to parents all of a sudden. I don't know.
Sorry.
I don't know what parents we're targeting.
The rating system is right on the front of the box. Walmart is constantly playing videos telling you to check the rating.
Yeah, on that Mass Effect roundtable discussion, one of the ladies said, well, what if my kid were to sneak over to his friend's house and play it there? Yeah, that's not the game maker's fault.
Right. And I think GTA 4 actually will take a stab at that kind of thing in their radio. I laugh pretty hard at it because it's who's supposed to watch my kid when I'm out drinking?
Yeah, they do actually nail things like that sometimes.
Yeah.
Humor can make very good points. Jack Thompson, on the other hand, needs to probably think a little harder before he tries to make some of his points.
Well, he'll have plenty of time to think because he is off the bar for now.
So that's official then.
Yep. Well,
there you go.
You know what? Shame on us.
This is pitiful.
Talking about ignorance right here.
Yeah,
we can't say
that's
for
a good
sure
point. Hypocrites.
If Jack Thompson actually is even off the bar.
I know.
He is definitely suspended, at least for now, for providing legal counsel to anybody.
Yeah, I suppose we should have given a giant disclaimer that a lot of our information is shoddily researched at best. So if you would like to keep us informed better about these things, please send us an email. Our email address is mail@growing-up-geek.com. We're going to skip our nostalgia portion for today.
Here, I'll throw some nostalgia out there. How do you unlock blood in Mortal Kombat?
Oh, man. It's not the Konami code, but it's sort of similar to it.
It's dollared. Down, up, left, A, right, down.
There it is. Dullard.
Dollard.
And on that note,
we all remember the Dollard code.
I think that's gonna do it for this episode. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Brad.
And I'm angry.
And we'll catch you next week.